Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger, my friends. It is finally Virtua Fighter time, for real this time, unlike the other time. And Virtua Fighter at Summer Game Fest 2026 and the associated special they had after the fact is looking great. We got a lot of things to talk about, we got a lot of things to cover, and in no uncertain terms, it looks like the new Virtua Fighter is very much what we call in the biz a AAA experience, because it's hitting very hard on pretty much every single aspect. Of course, Virtua Fighter is Virtua Fighter. So to be real, at least on my front, stuff like the gameplay was never gonna be an issue. It was never a concern. It was always gonna be best in class 3D fighting game. And yes, we got a lot to talk about the gameplay here. We got some new footage, and new footage, not just the stuff from the leak. But there's a big reason why on this channel I'm effectively a Virtua Fighter shill, because the game is just that good. But even as a Virtua Fighter shill, I'll be the first to admit the gameplay's been great, always been great, but the everything else has always struggled. So I'm talking like stuff like a story at all, like you might have seen myriad times where I mentioned the Satan Shark. Because there really isn't much more else to say. Like there's the Illuminati Judgment 6, Jackie has race cars, like there's very little story, very little personal accounts of the characters themselves. And that was always the missing piece of the puzzle. And now they seem to be going very hard on it. To that point, it would seem, especially given the reactions I'm looking at online, the single player component is what is selling people on this more than just the actual gameplay. So that said, we're going to talk about everything here, but let's talk with the single player experience here, because you could argue, this is very certainly the Yakuza development team, RGG Studio, that this is another Yakuza style game, or perhaps even, going back a bit older in Sega history, a bit like a Shenmue style game. Which actually works out great, because Shenmue was originally going to be the Virtua Fighter RPG. So perhaps time is a big circle on that front, but let's talk single player. So at the Summer Game Fest proper, we got a single player story trailer. We can see stuff like, hey, here's Stella. Do we know what her deal is yet? No, she looks awful pretty, sure, but we don't know anything about her. We also get to see a bunch of new faces that are definitely not the Virtua Fighter classics, which we know, like at least, Akira, Wolf, they're still there. As for everyone else, we got a couple hints, and we'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, hey, crime, drama, action. Virtua Fighter pulling a reverse Yakuza in that they're stealing animations from Yakuza this time around with the whole run chase stuff, right? Normally, Yakuza steals animations from Virtua Fighter. So this is a refreshing change of pace. And even though it's a fighting game, we got big time combat. We got cinematic flair, right? Like we got a proper action adventures game worth of fighting here with I'm assuming a dramatic crime story, because to be fair, RGG Studios is very much the master of that. And they go for big reveals like, hey, this lady running the restaurant is Pai Chan, Kung Fu master, who is looking a little bit older, although definitely not as old as Akira or Wolf. Because, fighting games, that's how that works. But she's getting changed up in interesting ways, not the least of which is she apparently runs a restaurant now. But yeah, the model looks absolutely fantastic. She looks great. Also, I've already gotten a lot of comments on this, and thank you for keeping me in your mind and in your heart. But the fat guy, that does not look like me. Yeah, I'm a big guy. Increasingly thinner though. I've lost over 100 pounds in the last 2 years, and I'm still losing weight now, but I've never had long hair. I've never had a beard. If Sega wants to license my appearance, don't worry, I come very cheap, but that ain't me. But yeah, as far as this single player campaign goes, it's apparently a large reason why the game is called Virtua Fighter Crossroads, because this is a cross of genres. It is the fighting game, usual stuff you would expect out of Virtua Fighter, but also this full, complete narrative campaign. And they ain't being humble about it in particular here, because they're saying this is going to be the best single player game and the best fighting game, which is a bit of a statement to make, but best fighting game, you could argue they're pretty much already there. So as far as the single player goes, have you played the Yakuza games? These guys sort of know what they are doing on that front. And I do very much like that the combat, while obviously very similar and using the same moves, is not exactly just like you plop into the fight, like say Street Fighter 6 World Tour. Like they're making the fights work in the world, in the single player narrative that they are building. In fact, you could argue what they're going for is basically like the natural end game of what Street Fighter 6 World Tour was, right? In that this is actually a fully fleshed out single player experience in and of itself. Like you could buy the game, play the single player, and probably just have a good enough time by itself. Obviously, please engage with the fighting game aspect of it if you could. That'd be great. But yeah, this is going to be a full-fledged game just by itself, and there's going to be something for everyone. Like there's even a living, breathing world to go through called Villa Sapara, which definitely looks a lot more advanced than, say, Metro City in World Tour mode. So you go around, you can interact, fight, obviously there's like a grand story. You can talk to people, like it's a whole open world. Now I'm sure it's not going to be, the next Grand Theft Auto 6 or anything, but there's a lot of stuff there. And Villa Sapara might as well be Kamurocho, just to use the Yakuza term 2.0, because it's a nasty place full of nasty people. Also, some heroes, like I'm assuming our protagonist and friends. And Cielo, given that he's very much at the focus here, he had the trailer, like a year ago now, or whenever that was. I'm assuming he has replaced Akira as kind of the modern face of the franchise. Now, don't know that for sure, but it certainly is the vibe that I am getting. But yeah, just on the open city part here, right? Like you can just walk into a store and just buy stuff. Like I'm assuming, it'll be like health ups or whatever, equipment, who knows? We'll see how RPG it gets. But yeah, it's certainly a lot more than the literally nothing Virtua Fighter's ever had, It's a big step forward for a franchise that has almost nothing in terms of single player content forever, basically. And as far as battles go, it's going to be a big part of it. Like the fact that even here in this demo, there's all sorts of physics, like stuff falling over as you're battling inside a restaurant. That's a really good look. I like that a lot. And we also have the matter of the characters themselves. So one of the things about specifically the single player content is it looks like you'll be playing multiple characters. It won't just all be Cielo. Specifically 4 people, and it's all new characters. Now, Cielo, hey, we've seen him here. Stella, we've known about Stella since the start, and she looks increasingly more like Sarah and is using Sarah's moves, so who knows? But yeah, so we're kind of going with the new faces, which, longtime fan, love the lore, love the characters, but I get it, right? Fresh start for the game in a lot of ways, because a lot of people aren't going to have an attachment to, say, like Wolf, like I do. And they all have their own playable chapters, and I guess they intersect with a greater story. So I guess you have to play everyone to see how everything pans out in the end as far as the story goes. But the characters will interact with the older characters, because you can see here Jeffrey's side quest. So maybe Cielo has to learn how to fight the Satan Shark. And here you can see Pi and Akira on the screen. But assuredly, it seems the majority of these characters are all new characters, because, I don't know who any of these people are. Which is fine to a degree. I just hope that the newer members and their supporting casts get equal amount of time to shine with the older cast, right? Like, if the story's about the new people, don't, backroad everyone else just for them. Now, that said, about the newer characters, though, we got a couple things here. We got a couple pictures in particular. So sort of here's the character render, here's some splash art, and also some text. On the text here, it says Cielo, requested data missing from the database. So there's something mysterious about him. For Mysterious Stella, though, it gets a lot heavier, because profile is classified under national security. What? Why is younger Sarah, and who knows if she's actually linked to Sarah, have such a just monstrously strong phrase associated with her? Again, maybe she might be Dural, the boss of Virtua Fighter. And our other 2 characters, honestly, who knows? We have no name associated with these characters. One has criminal background, maybe. The other one is associated with projects, city projects. We just don't know anything on them at the moment. There's definitely a respect for the past. So this shot here with Cielo going by Pi, Wolf, Jackie, and Akira. If you had to pick 4 main characters of Virtua Fighter, that would pretty much be about right. You could argue maybe Sarah instead of Pi, but, well, with Stella being around, it looks like Sarah might be getting erased, so who even knows? So single player assuredly is going to be covered more in the future, more trailers, all that. They got some heavyweights working on the single player portion as far as like the world building, the story. So I got a lot of high hopes for it. Looks like at least at minimum a proper crime drama with a lot of martial arts. So we must wait to know more, but provisionally big thumbs up from me on the single player content. Now let's talk the multiplayer, like the classical fighting game experience. So thanks to the leak, we have seen some of this before. I do like that Pai Chan's now default color is seemingly green. Helps her beat the Chun-Li allegations because, you know, they're both Chinese ladies that fought with Kung Fu that wore blue and gold. So now she's kind of more her own thing. We've talked about before in the previous leak video, but yeah, a lot of these animations, although not all of them, but a lot of them are just straight up from Virtua Fighter 5, which is great because it had some best in-class animations. We see here what appears to be the versus screen, and this looks very sharp, like giving a little bit of a vignette of the character you're about to pick, and you know, their appropriate decor or background. So Cielo just kind of on the streets, and Stella seemingly maybe on a rooftop at night. It's hard to get the vibe on that here, but you get a lot here. And also, when it comes to the characters themselves, you can see here fighting style for Cielo, MMA, moveset, balance, nationality. I believe he is the first ever fighting game character from Paraguay, so that's actually pretty interesting. And Stella is a kickboxer, does not say Jeet Kune Do like Sarah, so still yet to be remained if she stole Sarah's spot, if you will, but there is that. And yes, of course, they're blurred out here, but we do have what would appear to be a starting roster of 16 characters, which for a new game, you know, modern budgets are very expensive. And the fact that, yes, we can take some animations, but, you know, a lot of them are older. We can't do that. So for an all new game, all new roster, I think 16 is perfectly fair, especially because the average Virtua Fighter character has a lot more moves than the average fighting character does. Now, some of these, if we zoom in, they might start looking like something. Some of them don't, to be sure. But like, hey, I'm pretty sure that one on the left is Akira, because I can see like the outline of the hat. So you can start swinging at shadows, making your best guess based off these awful silhouettes. But, you know, we've done stupider things in our lives, I guess. We also got quite a few new animations here. So we saw before on the original leak with the hidden blade from Wolf, and that made big rounds on the internet. But also the Stormbreaker from Will Ospreay as well. Two of his signature moves. I think Will Ospreay is going to be a very happy boy and probably want to play Wolf in this game. But when it comes to the core gameplay, like, it is very much Virtua Fighter to its core. Like, again, many of the animations are recognizable. Although there's definitely new toys here, like Wolf can go into screw hook and then immediately go into his catch grab stance, right? Like, he couldn't do that before. So, you know, existing characters will get new toys, keep some of the classics, and our new characters like Cielo and Stella and all that, who knows, basically. The reactionary flow state blocking that like reacts to specific punches is still in the game, although we still don't have much in the way of particulars about that. Or things like the body damage system where you can like damage a limb and then cash out. We only have the most bare particulars. Hopefully in the future, maybe at EVO upcoming this year, we'll get more information. Yeah, we're light on the gameplay. The gameplay, as you can see here, clearly looks great. Just, we need to know more. It looks like Virtua Fighter. That's what we want it to look like, but we're just light on details. Like, hey, Wolf can do his leg catch into a chop, into a spear now. Cool. Good spear, by the way. Better than Jey Uso. But it doesn't tell me much about the gameplay mechanics, right? Like, there's some stuff here we've already inferred from the original footage that the game would be lighter on juggles. Like, you see here, there's a lot of, like, you get a standing crumple, you knock him to the ground. We do see our first, like, closest thing to an actual juggle in this specific sequence here, where Pai will trip up Cielo and then kind of give him the boot in the air with her stand kick, right? But that could be a canned animation. So we can infer that, like, in specifics, yeah, okay, maybe less air juggles, so it's not quite like Tekken, because, you know, Virtua Fighter is a very juggle-heavy game. But yeah, we just gotta wait. We just don't have the particulars other than, again, this looks very, very good. Whatever they do, I got nothing but the utmost of faith. This is Virtua Fighter. Virtua Fighter is always good. This will be good. The only mystery, I guess, is the single-player content. I'm just frankly happy that there is single-player content to begin with. Like quest mode, kumite mode, whatever you want to call it, like that's great, but it doesn't get people involved with the characters. It doesn't make them believe in the lore, get really invested, right? I think with this and the new modes that they're adding, I think they can pull it off and give VF the missing part of the puzzle that it always had. Gameplay was solved. It just needed the everything else. Now it looks like they're adding the everything else. So looking forward to seeing more, but that is what we got for the moment. So I'd love to hear your thoughts and your comments. So please post below, but otherwise that's it for me. That's it for the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Virtua Fighter.